Sure.
This
Extra
looks
opposite on the board, I'm guessing?
Very similar. Yep, with the one opposite out on the board.
Great. All right, well, this looks like it will be a good match. Rich Nguyen is on the right. Michael is to your left. And who do you think has a favorite in this matchup? Who do you think? I think Junk Aristocrat's going to take it down. That's my guess here.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. You know, the Lingering Souls is super powerful, but Rich Nguyen has access to the full 4 Thundermaw Health Knight.
Yeah, he also has Bonfire that damage as well.
Yeah, so I think I'm actually going to give it to Rich here. It is a really interactive matchup. There's going to be tons of trading, tons of interaction, so it's really anyone's game. I would say if Rich is favored, it's only by a little bit.
All right, so Zach Hall thinks that Rich Nguyen's going to take it down. I think Michael's going to take it down with Junk Aristocrats. If you guys have an opinion, tweet at SGG Live, tweet at GFabs5 or ZC Hall. We have pretty easy Twitter names, right?
Yeah,
GFabs5.
I think so.
ZC Hall. So I want to hear what you guys think. Who's taking this down, Naya or Junk Aristocrats?
And you know, if you want to join in the conversation on Twitter too, you can use the hashtag SCGMA.
Yeah.
That'll let anyone searching for that hashtag see what you wrote. You know, maybe retweet, reply.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And like also your reasons why. Junk Aristocrats because hey, who could really beat an Obsidian? Or Naya because of the Thundermaw Health Dice.
Right. Just the game-breaking 5-mana mythic rares. Rich has 4. Mike only has the 1 Obsidian.
Yeah, so it's like kind of like mini masters, right?
Yeah.
How many mythic rares can you open and and keep going? So I think we're just waiting one more second. It looks like Rich finally decides to mulligan. He's saying, "Hey, I want to keep." You know, it might have been a 1-lander, it might have been a 6-lander. Regardless, he ends up shipping it back, and he'll do a little pile shuffle just to make sure his deck's completely randomized and whatnot.
Yeah, at the Star City Open, we saw Rich top 4. Did he top 4 or did he make the finals?
Well, it was last time. It was at Philadelphia. He played standard. He ended up making the top 4, but he overslept and decided not to show up.
Right.
And he ended up just losing out on a large chunk of change, a lot of points, and of course the prestige of carrying that trophy. Because that's why a lot of people come here. A lot of people come here not for the prize itself, but more for the pride.
That's right. I mean, so many writers have said it in the past. So many commentators. If you want to make money playing a game, don't play Magic cards. Magic, you should be here because you love the game.
Yeah, of course.
That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. We played this game our entire lives.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you just want a trophy.
Yeah.
You just want to come home with the hardware to put on your mantle, to put wherever, take a picture, Facebook profile picture. It's all about the pride.
Yeah, I have 2 really nice trophies at home, and I also have about 4 or 5 other really nice ones, but those are John Simon's trophies. Who he was going to throw out his trophies. So if anybody's interested in trophies, let me know. I got a bunch of really vintage trophies, we'll call them. The first Legacy trophy, 2005.
That's a great problem to have, having too many trophies.
Yeah, we'll talk about trophies later. For now, well, they're not my trophies, so I can't brag about it, But we'll get back to the match. Michael leads off with the Isolated Chapel, and Rich is going to take 2 life from his Temple Garden. It's an old school Temple Garden. What do you think he's going to play here?
Well, it looks like it's an Avacyn's. Really, the best 1-drop in Standard right now, I have to say, is Mana Elf. Either Avacyn's Pilgrim or Arbor Elf.
Sure, yeah. And there's a new Mana Elf from M14 as well. It's essentially Llanowar Elf.
Yeah, it's a Llanowar Elf wannabe. It's just a singular.
Yeah.
It's not the tribe of Llanowar Elves, it's the single.
All right, so we're getting a bunch of tweets in. Daniel Justice says, go Naya. So it seems like he's on the Naya support train. I don't want to say bandwagon because all right, so Michael clearly is on Junk Aristocrats here. You see this with an Overgrown Tomb, you see it with the Isolated Chapel, a Tragic Slip, and a Doom Traveler. Now it's definitely cat out of the bag. Lead off with the Isolated Chapel. Richwood might have thought, hey, maybe he's on Esper, right?
Right, or he could be a Junk Reanimator deck. He could be.
Yeah, it could be a lot. He could be a regular Aristocrats as well, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what strong finishes does Rich have as he plays his Voice of Resurgence?
Well, he has quite a few top 8s actually. He has the top 8 in Charlotte, which was a Grand Prix. That was the Gold Rush.
Yeah.
That was the biggest Grand Prix ever up until Vegas.
Modern Masters.
Yep.
Wow, those are some nice tokens right there.
The Juzums.
Yeah. Juzam Jins. Juzam was probably one of the most powerful creatures back in the day. And then Blastoon came out. A bunch of other insane 4-mana 5/5s came out.
A 4-mana 5/5 now has to have a
an
bonus.
ability, bonus. Yeah, exactly. Instead of a drawback. But those are not 5/5 tokens. Instead, those are 1/1 flying spirit tokens from the Lingering Souls. Lingering Souls is really strong against Rich to win. Rich Win's going to need to have a Bonfire or Thundermaw Hellkite. Otherwise, those Lingering Souls are going to cause problems in combat. They're going to chip away at Rich's life totals and block a lot of the bigger creatures.
Right, and you know, Mike, he doesn't even think about double blocking here or even triple blocking this voice. He says, you can have a 2/2, that's fine. I'm going to try and beat you down in the air. That's what he wants to do here. So he takes 2 down to 18. He's going to crack back for at least 2 in the air.
Yeah. Now I think Rich right here wants to play a Stomping Ground, and I think he just wants to play his Boros Reckoner. I don't think he cares about a Bonfire quite yet. I think he wants to get more value from the Bonfire. So playing Boros Reckoner seems like a better play here.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, because he only has the 1 Bonfire. If he had 2, I'd say, yep, fire 1 off for 1 here. But right now, it's Reckoner. Wait 1 more turn on that Bonfire. Try and get the other half of the Lingering Souls.
Yeah, Bakula is tweeting in saying he wants to have the claim on or he should have first claim since he got second place in that Grand Prix back in the day.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So those Lingering Souls tokens will fly in. We got those Juzam tokens replaced with some Star City and Ice Lingering Souls tokens. Those are actually cooler. And they actually say 1/1, so everybody knows at home that they're 1/1 flyers. There's a Voice of Resurgence from Michael, and wow.
That is
the High Priest
slog breaker right there.
Now that's big trouble for Rich. If that thing stays around and Michael is able to play a 5/5 flyer, Rich is in a huge world of hurt here. You know, Naya is not really equipped to handle these big flyers besides for 1 or 2 copies of a Selesnya Charm, right?
Right.
But you take away Selesnya Charm, what is he really going to do against a 5/5 flyer other than, you know, play a Thundermaw Hellkite, which is multiple turns away because it looks like Rich is stuck on mana.
Yeah, the Selesnya Charm, it really doesn't answer the problem. You know, maybe it can kill 1 5/5 flyer, but unless you're going to win the next turn, the High Priest is just going to keep doing what he does, which is churn out the dragons.
Yep, for sure. All right, so Rich swings in with his guys, and Michael says, hey, I'm just going to take this damage, and this is exactly the correct play for Michael. Michael does not want to trade at all because he wants as many creatures in play as possible to use that High Priest. So what do you think Rich's line of play here could be?
Well, it looks like he's going to go for the bonfire
for 1. Doesn't really do much at all.
Yeah, it'll maybe keep Michael off High Priest if he has only a little bit of follow-up to the High Priest, but any reasonable follow-up is going to have the High Priest turn on. And
yeah,
I think the last card in his hand is a sack effect.
No, I don't think it is.
I thought it was Varol's, maybe?
Oh, is it a Varol's?
Can't quite tell. It's either that or...
Yeah, I think it is a Varol's. I think you're right, and he's able to sacrifice to regenerate, so... And he would get the elemental token. Okay, yeah, so this is exactly what he's going to do. He set this game up perfectly. He's going to flashback the Lingering Souls. He's going to sacrifice to put up Regeneration Shield, and he's going to make a 5/5 elemental and a 5/5 flyer. Yeah. I think that's the line he's going to take here. As you can see, Varol's on screen. Sacrifice a creature other than itself, regenerate, and it also makes all your creatures in your graveyard have scavenge.
Yeah, just a really amazing card. I think it flew under the radar for the first few weeks after Dragon's Maze was released.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You didn't really see it at the Pro Tour, but now that you have all the cards available to you in Standard, it really shines.
It works so well with Voice of Resurgence. And there's no need for Michael to do it on his turn. He could just pass the turn like he did. And at the end of Rich Win's turn, because let's face it, Rich really can't have a profitable attack here. If he could, he would do it before combat step.
Right.
But it looks like Michael's in a really good shape this game. Other than Rich maybe top decking running Selesnya Charms or miracling a Bonfire.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Rich can get back into the game. He has no form of card advantage. He can't draw extra cards. He's constricted on mana. Yeah. It would probably be the 1 Blasphemous Act. That would be his best way to get back into the game.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't think he's going to be able to draw anything here. So we'll I don't know. We'll see what he does.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I didn't expect Rich to have 1 Blasphemous Act in the deck, but really he's going for a mishmash amalgamation here. His deck doesn't really play like the aggressive decks. It doesn't really play like
control,
like the
right?
control decks. Yeah, it's really strange. I don't think I really like his deck here, I think he should have chose either really aggressive or really control-y, really powerful, not in between.
Yeah, I really like the big Naya deck with the Farseek into Aurelia, because that's power. You know, is Boros Reckoner and a Voice of Resurgence power? Is it beatdown?
Really? Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think Naya Blitz could come back. I know Owen has been talking about Naya Blitz a lot, and he's a player definitely to respect. So
you know, if Owen's talking about an aggro deck like that, it's probably pretty real.
Yeah.
Pretty real in the format right now.
Yeah. Now, do you think Rich is trying to set up him top decking his one Blasphemous deck? Because he does have one main deck, like you said. So he has double Reckoner here. So maybe he's thinking, hey, if I could just survive this turn, this will give me one out to draw my Blasphemous deck.
Right.
As long as there's enough creatures in play, and as long as you have enough mana to actually play the 10 mana card. It is 10 mana, correct?
It's 9 total.
Is it 9? Is it 8 in a red?
I think it's 8 in a red.
8 in a red? Okay, yeah. I believe you're right. It is 8 in a red. It's so confusing because you never really pay the full amount,
right?
Which is pretty funny. So, all right, and here Michael is going off. He's using the High Priest. He's signifying, yeah, he's going to get an Elemental token. As you can see on top of the screen, it's actually a green-white Elemental token. For the longest time, I just thought it was green. But it is pretty cool how it's green-white because it does kind of play around Renounce the Gills, and it also plays into Renounce the Gills, depending if you want to protect something else.
Right.
Yeah, it came up more in like the block format.
Yeah, I mean, the white creature can trigger a Court Street Denizen as well as an Ivy Lane Denizen.
Yeah.
That's something.
All right, so Michael just draws another land on the top.
Scavenge,
and it should be lethal. Scavenge the Doom Traveler. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I believe it is. Is that correct? It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah,
perfect.
Exactsies
kills Rich win. Rich just has 3 lands that game, and you can see the power difference between these two decks. The Junk Aristocrats deck, so much synergy, incredible synergy. Just all its cards work together so well, while Rich just had a pile of creatures.
Yeah, you know what? And the thing is that the Legacy deck, speaking of, building decks and everything, the Legacy deck that I've been working on, I wanted to add a certain card to it. I was like, hey, I want to add this card, and my friend Rudy says, hey, no, it has to be more streamlined. Now, we could talk about this after the match. Maybe decks now, for them to really succeed, it has to be really streamlined. Look at this green, white, black Aristocrat type deck. This Junk Aristocrat deck is so streamlined. Everything kind of works well together.
Yeah.
Why are you playing a weak card like Doom Traveler or like Young Wolf that's not that good? Well, because it works so well together. And the synergy is, more important than the actual power level of cards itself.
That's right, and I love this Junk Aristocrats deck. I never really loved the other Aristocrats deck. It felt like just it was missing a little bit, and this Junk version is so much better. It's so much more powerful, so much more streamlined. Mana is better, everything about it.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at some sideboard options here. All right, Michael has Smite in his sideboard, a pretty neat card. In case you guys aren't familiar with Smite, it was a pretty good card in Gatecrash Draft. If you were the Orzhov Extort type deck, you would play defense with Basilica Guards, Smite. He has 2 copies of Smite. He has 3 copies of Abrupt Decay, 4 Deathrite Shamans, 2 Appetite for Brains, the extra Obsidian, 1 Ray of Revelation. I'm thinking that Ray of Revelation is mostly there against Banned Hexproof. If your opponent plays an Invisible Stalker and then suits it up, you want to have something to be able to get that Invisible Stalker down to a 1/1. And then finally 2 copies of the rest. So does anything really stand out here? Are you liking the Abrupt Decays against the Boros Reckoners, against maybe the Avacyn Pilgrims?
Yeah, after looking at both people's sideboards, I really like Michael's sideboard better because of those Abrupt Decays.
Sure.
The Appetite for Brains, Michael probably should bring them in, but he doesn't know that Rich is packing 4 Thunderbolt Hellkite yet. So he probably won't bring those in quite yet, maybe for game 3.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely fair. Does Rich have anything that he really wants to bring in against the Junk Aristocrats? I mean, Junk Aristocrats and Naya are both decks that are popular, so they should kind of be prepared with their sideboard strategy, right?
Right, I would think so. I don't really like Rich's sideboard, though, because he has 2 Rest in Peace, which are okay. They're not at their best versus Michael, but he'll certainly bring them in.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I mean, just because of the Lingering Souls and the Valzera?
I think so. He has the Voice of Resurgences, he has the Young Wolf,
Doom Traveler,
a lot of little things, and it might not matter that much, but he'll bring them in.
Sure.
He has 2 more Bonfire of the Damned, which it seems really good against Michael.
I think so.
But
also, Blasphemy attack's got to be pretty good as well.
Yeah, he's going to overload on his Wrath of God effects, his Blasphemous Act 2 Bonfire. So afterboard he'll have 2 Blasphemous Act 4 Bonfire, as well as the Rest in Peace. So his plan is going to be to land an early Rest in Peace to negate the Goes to the Graveyard effects, or the Die effects, and then try and Wrath Michael Bonde. That's going to be his plan here.
All right, yeah, Rich will be able to play this game, and now his Naya deck could get some pretty explosive draws. He could go Pilgrim straight into Locksmith Smiter, which could be a problem for Michael, but the problem is here for Richard is that Michaels has a lot of ground creatures that he can block with. He wants to block with Doom Traveler. You know, he has 4 copies of Blood Artist. He doesn't really care if creatures trade in combat. Also, he has Smite. So,
that's right.
You know, he has access to be able to stop lots of Rich's big creatures. And, you know, smiting one of Rich's creatures that just went for a Gore Clan Rampager is just a huge blowout.
Right, and you know, not everyone expects the Smite. Brad Nelson did have 2 of them in his sideboard, but Rich Nguyen, he might not remember that right now. He might not know. Did Michael Bonde copy the list exactly? Did he change the sideboard? How many Smites does he have? Does he even know what Smite is? You know, there are a lot of questions. But really, I think the key for Rich here in this matchup, it's these 2 Resting Pieces. He's always going to have a red massive damage spell. He's always going to have an Act or a Bonfire, because afterboard he'll have 6. He shouldn't have a problem drawing those. It'll really just be the Resting Piece. So I expect Rich to mulligan aggressively to the rest.
Brad Nelson, 3rd place at Grand Prix Miami. Maybe Michael's trying to take his deck and doing, you know, a bit better, coming 1st or 2nd. And, you know, Rich didn't go to Grand Prix Miami. Maybe he didn't follow the coverage.
Yeah, maybe not.
So it is really important now with all the technology, with all the deck lists, with Magic Online, with a Star City Open almost every week. Metagame changes. You know, even if a player is more experienced than another player, if the less experienced player did their homework, they know every matchup, they know how to sideboard, they know what to expect, they might have the advantage in a matchup.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. You know, Magic, it's an interesting game. So much of it comes down to the play skill, almost every match, but at the same time, there's something to be said for knowing every deck list, for knowing every matchup. You can be a bad player, you know, an average player, and that's fine. If you know everything about the format, if you know how to sideboard, if you know what they're going to sideboard, that can be worth so much.
All right, so it looks like Rich had to keep a hand just with the M10 lands, I like to call them. None of the Ravnica lands. He does draw a Stomping Ground, however, and he's going to probably lead off with an Avacyn's Pilgrim on turn 2 and follow it up with just like a Stomping Ground here.
Yeah. That'll turn on all of his M10 lands. He has another Sun Petal Grove in his hand, and he's just trying to develop his mana, hopefully land something big like a Thundermaw Hellkite.
Yeah, he wants the game to go to long, but he doesn't want the board to get cluttered, if that makes sense.
That's right.
You know? Because if the board gets cluttered, it really favors the Junk Aristocrats player. So many little interactions are going on, and it's tough to actually see everything, you know?
Yeah, the Junk Aristocrats deck, everything's just a little cog, and the more you get, you know, it's like your deck gets exponentially more powerful the more you add to the board. The more you clutter it up, the more sacrifice effects, interactions, morbid, all this stuff just contributes to an overwhelming game plan.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's the Reckoner.
Yeah.
That's going to come down. Give Rich a clock. It's a pretty modest one against the Junk Aristocrats deck, something easily chunk locked. But.
Yeah, and you know, once the High Priest is in play, like it is in play, you don't even want to attack sometimes. You don't want creatures to trade. If creatures trade, that means one thing. That means Michael's going to start making 5/5 flyers, and again, Rich's deck isn't really equipped to handle 5/5 flyers. And there's another High Priest. All right, Rich really needs a bonfire here. And I think Michael is saying, I don't think you have one.
Yeah, he's going to make Rich have one. You know, it's interesting. Michael could have played Voice of Resurgence to play around it. But
yeah, he could have took a different line.
He must have a stone read on Rich Nguyen here.
Yeah. Let's see if that's a bonfire or not. It looks like it's not a bonfire.
I don't think he'd be thinking about it if it was a bonfire. That's a bluff that doesn't really matter because Michael is just going to realize right away that there's no way he drew bonfire.
Yeah, I think Rich does have a Selesnya Charm in hand. You see it, put him towards the top. A lot of players actually tend to do that. They end up putting the card that they want to play or they think they're going to play, or the most important card on top. What I try to do is actually keep it in the back of your hand, just in case your opponent might be able to see your hand. You're tipping your hand a bit low. You want to really protect your important cards.
So it looks like Rich, Selesnya Charm, Voice of Resurgence. That might have been an Oblivion Ring.
Yeah, I think he has a couple of Oblivion Rings to the sideboard.
So he has a few answers here. I think at this point you have to get one of the priests out of there. It stinks to do that when you're playing Blasphemous Acts and Bonfires, but it's so dangerous.
Yeah, it is really tough for Rich here. I'm not sure what his best line is. I think Michael is sitting pretty here. I don't think Michael realizes how good it's looking for him.
Right, because Rich has 4 cards in his hand. Michael's not sure what Rich's deck list really looks like. He doesn't know if he has mass removal. He doesn't know what's going on.
Sure, yeah, and it's not like Michael has like an Obsidian that's coming into play next turn or anything. Right. That's when it's really looking good, when you're blinking on Obsidian every turn and you have a board presence.
So Doom Traveler jumps in the way of the Reckoner and produces the 1/1 flyer there for Mike.
I like Obsidian so much, I would like to see the Junk Aristocrat deck play more than one copy main deck.
Yeah, it's so good in so many matchups.
It really is, yeah.
The thing I like the most about this Junk Aristocrats deck is how low it keeps its curve. Obsidian is the 1/5 drop. It has only 3 4 drops, and then everything else is
1, 2, or 3. Yeah,
mostly 2.
All right, so Rich decides just to play a Voice of Resurgence. Michael will make his 5/5. Let's see if Rich does anything here. He's definitely thinking about a Selesnya Charm. You don't really want to give too much away, so before he knows the 5/5 is coming, right? So instead of debating about it, maybe he could have, had it planned out during the combat step.
Right. So if he ends up not casting the Selesnya Charm, Michael's going to know that he has.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, now Michael might think, oh, maybe it was a bluff, maybe not. We'll probably never know what these players are actually thinking, but it's definitely something really cool. It's a different level of the game. There's magic, and then there's like one leveling the other player and stuff.
So often it ends up not mattering at all.
Yeah, but it feels good inside, right?
Yeah, it does. And then some games it really matters. Some games it's so obvious. You kind of induce the misplay in your opponent, and the entire game can hinge on that.
Sure. So Selesnya Charm does take out the 5/5 demon. Let's see what Michael's follow-up play is here. I mean, he definitely has a lot of spells in his hand. So I do see double Voice of Resurgence. Unfortunately, he can't play both Voice of Resurgence due to that swamp in play.
Right.
So
that swamp really is sticking out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, it really is. Even in his land section where he puts the swamp, it's all the way to the right. It's just the one swamp there. And I just circled it so it sticks out even more like a sore thumb.
Everything else is a dual land or a Gavany Township.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, maybe you need that swamp in the deck,
Yeah. Gotta have one basic to fetch up with Ghost Quarter to not get Blood Moon, stuff like that, right?
All right, so Rich draws for his turn. Michael's board is just insane here. He's able to, make another 5/5 here because he has a sacrifice outlet. Even if nothing dies in combat or whatnot, he'll just sack his token, make a 5/5. That's a pretty good trade, trading a 1/1 flyer into a 5/5.
Yeah, not so bad. So if you're just joining us right now, I'm Zach Hall in the booth with Gerard Fabiano, and we're coming to you live from the Star City Open here in Worcester. We're in round 3. We're watching these 2 players at 2-0, Rich Nguyen, battle Michael Bonde.
Yeah, now you guys might think, hey, why does that High Priest have a counter on it? Well, that's a scavenge counter. That High Priest now is actually a 2/3 because Michael decided to remove his Doom Traveler from the game to give this High Priest +1/+1 counter.
That's right. He probably knows that Rich Nguyen has the Rest in Peace, so he's just going to make use of any graveyard cards as soon as he gets them in there.
Sure. Now Rich is thinking, can I attack here? It looks like he's only going to bring it in with Boros Reckoner, but it doesn't really matter that much here if he attacks or not. It's correct to attack. I mean, that's my view here, but it's not going to have that much, pull either way.
Right.
Yeah, he's just going to throw the 1/1 flyer in the way of the Boros Reckoner, and then he's going to sacrifice it before damage, so Rich doesn't get to ping anything that he wants. In other news, Costa wins 2 games to 0. Costa's 3-0 now.
Yeah, Matt Costa making another run here at another premier event. Matt Costa, maybe with Reed Duke, the class of 2021.
Oh, maybe.
Something like that. Yeah.
Far away for Hall of Fame for those guys just because they started playing recently, but their results are definitely on track. Michael will just attack with the 5/5. Richard decided just to pass the turn. He does have Advent of the Worm, so maybe he's going to sit on the Advent of the Worm. I guess there's not much of a reason to try to take out the High Priest now with the Oblivion Rings, just because there's 2 High Priests and there's only 1 Oblivion Ring. Just a bad spot for Rich, I would say.
It really is. I think the only thing that Rich could have done maybe a little differently this game is instead of attacking into the Doom Traveler a few turns ago, just Oblivion Ringing it, then he can attack, and then the High Priest doesn't turn on that turn.
Yeah.
He's in a little better shape if he takes that line, but even so, it's tough to beat the High Priest.
Yeah, it's tough to beat the High Priest, and it's tough to play against the High Priest.
It is.
So Michael decides to pay 2 life here. I'm not sure what his line is. He can't play voice still, which is like kind of weird because this deck, you know, having 5 mana, you would think, oh, well, the deck has all like 1s and 2s, and you have 5 mana. Of course, you could play all your cards. But when it's Voice of Resurgence, and you're looking at a Swamp and a Gathering Township, you can only play one of them.
Right. Yeah, the untapped land is really interesting. I think he was going to activate his Township, but then he realized the better line of play would just be to play the Voice. So instead of compounding his errors by just saying go, he decides to make the right play.
Sure. Yeah, or maybe he thought that he was able to play double Voice.
Right.
Yeah. Here it looks like the Voice of Resurgence resolved.
Wow.
Yeah. And I believe Rich Nguyen just forgot about that, and Avid of the Worm, you know, a bit too late.
Yeah, I think they're talking about the timing right here. Rich might be saying, no, I was responding, but
yeah.
I think it was too late.
Yeah, I think it was too late. I think Rich just missed that, and you know, it's unfortunate because now Rich just gave Michael a giant elemental creature.
Right.
You know,
it doesn't matter that much because really Rich's game plan here is to draw into one of his 2 Blasphemous Acts. That's what he's going to need to do to win this game. And
yeah, but. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So it's still an error, but one that's unlikely to really affect the outcome. He has 4 Bonfire, 2 Blasphemous Act.
Yeah, let's see what he draws for the turn. What do you think he's going to draw, Zach?
I think it's going to be Blasphemous Act.
Do you really?
Let's see it.
I mean, it'll be good for the viewers at home, I guess, unless you really want Michael to win.
Or
you're just a junk aristocrat fan, you know? To be honest, most of the time, I don't like to see insane top decks unless like it's game 3 and both players played their heart out, you know?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I like to see the player who maybe maneuvered their way around the match the best kind of take it down.
Oh man, whenever I watch coverage, I'm always rooting for the underdog.
The underdog. All right, you know what? I'll root for the underdog.
Right.
I don't even know what I was saying before.
You know, Michael's probably going to rewatch this. Is going to say, you know, why is my friend Zach? Why is he rooting for my opponent here? But
yeah.
I'll take Mike in 3. How about that?
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Rich is doing some math. I mean, there's plenty of creatures in play where the Blasphemous stack, you know, is going to cost Rich just 1 or 2 mana.
Right.
He's starting to tap some lands here. It looks like a crowd's building around the feature match area. As the round progresses, more and more matches finish. As soon as the match finishes, everybody runs to the feature match area. They're saying, hey, what's going on in the feature match area? What are the top decks in the room? Who are the top players in the room? I want to take a look.
That's right, and I think Rich's line here, he has to either Oblivion Ring the Varolz or the Demon token or the Horror or the 5/5 flyer.
I mean, the first thing that he has to do is that he has to get rid of the Sacrifice outlet. I think that's play number 1. It might be too late though, and him attacking with the Boros Reckoner just gives him more and more creatures to be able to throw away to make more and more 5/5s.
Right.
So I think it got to a point in the game where you don't even want to attack anymore. You just want the game to go as long as possible. Give yourself as many draws as possible for a Blasphemous Act.
Yeah, I think this Oblivion Ring has to target the Varolz. I think it has to, because if he Blasphemous Acts, then the Varolz will live and he'll scavenge a ton. So
wait, but the whole thing is that it might be lethal. If we do the math here, Rich wins on 15. I think there's a chance that Rich might have not wanted to play the Oblivion Ring and just hold up Restoration Angel, even though Restoration Angel will give another token. It's really tough. It is really confusing. So,
yep. So Rich decides to target the 5/5 flyer with his O-ring. So even if he does draw a Blasphemous Act right now, the Varolz will live on. It'll get scavenged onto. It'll still be a huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, with Township and Varolz, it's a chance that Rich could just die from 15 out of nowhere, especially if he has no flying defense. And, you know, something like an Avid of the Worm, you might think, oh, Avid of the Worm is good. It tramples. They can't block with Doom Traveler. But the whole thing is that this is how the board gets.
Yeah.
The board gets to this certain stage where it doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah, just like you said, you know, basically Rich wants to have the game go long, but he wants the board not to be cluttered. And this is exactly why. The Varolz, the Voice, the High Priest, they all get so much better with more creatures in play.
Yeah, and you could just see how confused Rich is in this combat step.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, all right, well, if I attack, what happens? Is it beneficial? Is it not beneficial for me? What is Michael going to do? And I think Rich knows that all he needs here is a Blasphemous Act for him to have a chance to pull out of this game. The other thing he's thinking is that, hey, Michael's at 17. I would love for the Blasphemous Act just to win the game for me.
Yeah.
But he can't really force any points of damage. and whatnot. So, all right, there's the 5/5 demon.
So these Skursdags.
There's
just,
another 5/5
wow.
demon. I'm gonna scavenge. I'm gonna deal you 10 plus a scavenge. I'm gonna deal you 15, well over 15 damage right here. It looks like.
Yeah, Rich Nguyen has an Avacyn's Pilgrim and a Rootbound Crag available, so the only
2,
thing he
4,
could do is Selesnya Charm.
Maybe it's only 14 damage he has. Maybe Michael could only win next turn, depending on the lands in his hand, right? So the High Priest, that's one. The Voice is another. High Priest.
Yeah,
I think he can only deal 14.
If he has another land, maybe he can scavenge 2 High Priests and a Voice.
2 High Priests and a Voice is still only a 4, so that's only 14 damage.
Right, because the 1/1 counter
exactly.
would not.
Yeah, will go away.
Yeah. I don't think he has it, and even if he did, I'm not sure if he should go for it because Rich has only cast 1 Selesnya Charm.
So you think he wants to play around the second Selesnya Charm?
There's almost no way that he can lose here. So
yeah, he's only losing to. Well, not even losing to a Blasphemous Act, but the only card that's really bad for him is Blasphemous Act.
Yeah,
I think just attacking for 10 here is fine.
Yeah, you put your opponent on a 2-turn clock. You don't try and go all in to kill him in some crazy gambit that you don't need to do or that you don't need to make.
I think I would probably run out the other Voice of Resurgence if I'm Michael.
Yeah, I think it's fine not to. He has a Gavney Township.
So you just want to stay back on the Gavney Township?
Yeah, and in case Rich does rip something like running
bonfire
big red
or something,
spells,
maybe.
yeah.
He wants to play around a bonfire for 5.
Yeah, bonfire for 5 would be huge here, but he has the Township.
And it just looks like Rich drew a Temple Garden, so I feel Rich will have to extend the hand.
I think so. There it is.
There it is. There's a hand. All right, good timing on the extension of the hand.
Yeah, so congratulations to the Dane, Michael Bonde. He moves to 3-0. Rich Nguyen drops to 2-1, still in contention, but he has his work cut out for him here.